An IPA panel wipe down is a great thing to have if you're detailing, and it's a great thing to know how to make it. And I dare say you've probably got a lot of the ingredients lying around, and if you haven't, they're really cheap and easy to get hold of. So what can you use an IPA panel wipe for? Well, if you're doing paint correction or machine polishing, it's a great idea to spritz the panel after you've finished compounding your section and you're just going to buff your compound off, give it a quick spritz with your IPA wipe, wipe over, and it will remove any traces of oil and compound left behind. Now, why is it important to do this? Well, when you finish doing your panel, what will happen is the compound breaks down but leaves an oily film behind, and you need to remove that oily film because that oily film can hide some of the fine swirls and scratches and hologramming and hazing that are left behind that you wouldn't otherwise notice until you've completely finished. So this way you can get 100% paint correction nice and easily, and you haven't got to go back and do panel and bits again. So it's going to save you a little bit of time with just a quick spray. The second thing you can use this for is to remove any existing sealant or waxes. This stuff will shift most sealants and waxes from a car's paint, and when you spray on, wipe off, you're wiping off what's already there, so you're getting rid of your sealants and waxes, leaving you with a bare paint finish, and then you can apply your new sealant direct and it will grab onto the bare paintwork. Now this is great because for longevity you do need to be applying sealant onto bare paint and not on top of other sealants. So let's get on with how to make an IPA panel wipe. Right, so we're going to mix up an IPA wipe down solution, and the IPA we're going to make is roughly a 25%, which is a bit strong for some people. You're better off if you're just using it for general purpose, maybe going for around a 10 to 15% to start with, especially if you do have cars with a clear coat that is softer. I want to use this to remove a sealant. So this is the bottle we're going to use. It's just your standard size spray bottle with your standard sized spray head. And we're going to mix up 400 milliliters of wipe down in total, give or take a little bit. It's going to be probably a little bit over. So what we're going to need to do this is we're going to need some deionized water, which is generally sold as battery top-up water, or I think you can use distilled water. I think that's the same thing. Okay, so we're going to use that. We're going to use some 99.9% isopropyl alcohol. In the UK we can get 99.9%. I know in other countries it tends to be slightly less, but as long as you know how to work it out from there, it's not too bad. I know a lot of the times I see it sold as a 75% and you can get a 90%. So as long as you can just work out that the volume of, if you use say 100 milliliters of 75%, it would be the equivalent of adding 75 milliliters. So just do your little bit of maths and you'll soon work it out. It's not that complicated. The other thing we're going to need is a citrus-based degreaser, which we're just going to use. It's any all-purpose cleaner will do. We're adding that as a surfactant, which is just a posh way of saying a detergent, but it's a detergent that is more of a neat chemical. So then all we need is funnel and a measuring jug. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to measure out our water, and we need 300 milliliters of the distilled water. So we'll just get that first. Okay, and then we can put that into our bottle using the funnel so we don't get it everywhere. Right, so that's that to begin with. Next up, we're going to need 100 milliliters of our isopropyl. So just going to get that in there. And remember, it's always chemicals to water and not water to chemicals. Even though what we're doing here is pretty safe, it's still always good to remember what you were taught in high school chemistry, that you will always mix chemicals into the water and not the other way around. Now the next thing we're going to add is obviously, like I say, our surfactant. and just give that a shake up to mix. Now we don't need a lot of this. We're only going to need sort of 10 to 20 millilitres. That's probably going to be a capful, really. If you want to put a little bit more in, you can put 2 in. I'll go for 1.5. Let's just be for argument's sake. And there we go. So what we've got now is our isopropyl mixture. There's nothing else to it other than that. And then we can put our squirter back on. Give it a little shake. But yeah, so like I say, this is a really simple way to mix up your isopropyl spray. It's cheap, it's easy. These don't cost very much money. Spray bottles definitely don't cost money, and you've probably got a few lying around. You will probably already have all-purpose cleaner, and you just mix that in because it just gives it a little bit extra edge on there than it would if you're just using isopropyl and water. It just gives it a little bit more bite because it makes it what's also a degreasing stripper. So it's a good idea to add that in. We'll go over now and give it a check out, removing some sealer from a panel. So now that we've made our IPA wipe down, what we're going to do is test it out. This panel has been protected with Chemical Guys Jet Seal, and I want to remove that now. So we're going to use the IPA wipe down that we've made. First of all, I'll show you the beading that we've currently got on there from the sealant. So there you can see that you've got a nice amount of beading from the sealant, which is something that we're now going to get rid of. So let's give it a wipe down just to give it a quick dry. It doesn't need to be dry, obviously, using the IPA wipe because it's made with water anyway. So what I'll do is we just need a microfiber towel and our IPA wipe, give it a shake. I'll do the lower section of this quarter panel just to show you exactly what it looks like afterwards. So just going to spray it on there, give it a wipe over, and when you're wiping, what you'll find is you'll feel the panel start to become a bit more grabby and a bit less smooth, which is from removing the protection that's on there. So now we've got a completely unprotected panel. All that's on this panel now is the bare paint. So we've completely removed it. Still got the sealer up here, but down here we've got absolutely nothing. So we'll just give it a wipe over with a microfiber towel, and we can always use another one just to sort of buff over. But as I say, it does become a lot more sticky and grabby because up there you've got your sealant, which is protecting the panel, and down here we've got absolutely nothing, just bare paint. So what this is great for now is if we want to apply a new wax or sealant to this panel, we've completely removed any protection that was on there. So if we now take our hose and spray on, you can see at the top we get beading, and at the bottom we just get the water is sheeting, which is what we'd expect from a fresh panel that's just been clayed and then had it removed. But you can see you start getting the line of where you've got your protection, and then the lower section is where you've got no protection, and you can see the line there in the panel as to where the protection ends and the IPA clean section starts. So that's all you need to do to remove any existing waxes or treatments or sealants that you've got on your paintwork. And like I say, you'll start seeing the line of where you've got your protection and where you've got no protection. Then all you need to do is reprotect the panel with whatever you're going to use on it.